I feel like this is a scripted Kansas City Chiefs football game. Steady inventory is just going to be the name of the game for the next couple of months. Meanwhile, buyer demand will steadily increase unless we get a big snowstorm. Then that means the market is just going to screech to a halt. In this video, we're going to go over the single-family condo market in the state of Massachusetts. We're also going to do a quick interest rate update, and we'll talk about some relevant current events. Hey, it's Jeff Chubb. I'm a recovering investment banker, turned real estate agent and real estate investor that sold more than 1,000 houses. If you have any questions in regards to real estate, then nope, I'm here to help. Don't want to pay 2.5% to 3% commissions to your buyer agent when you're buying a house? Then reach out and let's talk about our purchase power plan, how you could save thousands, possibly tens of thousands of dollars when buying a house in 2025, because that's 2.5% to 3% on top of your down payment. Let's jump into the single-family market stats. We now have 3,279 single-family houses on the market. That is 7% fewer homes on the market than just 28 days ago. We should see these inventory levels start increasing towards the end of February. Last week, I talked about how this was a great time to be a seller, but yet also to be a buyer. Motivated buyers can find good values, while sellers who've been on the market for a while will enjoy the reduced competition. Last week, I actually had a client find a house that had been on the market for over 100 days, went back to look at the property twice, wrote up an offer, and was welcomed to find out it was a multiple offer situation. You heard that right, a multiple offer situation for a house that had been on the market for months. My guys didn't go up high enough, ended up going to the other buyers, so it was a true multiple offer situation. While inventory only increased by 5 units week over week, the difference in inventory levels has grown, as in most other years. This is when we actually start to see a slight pullback in the inventory levels. We currently have 339 more houses on the market, which is up from last week's 305 units than when compared to this week last year, and 1,200 more houses on the market than when compared to the 2022 levels. This level is up from last week's 1,068 unit recording. We listed 582 single-family houses this week, which is compared to 585 homes this week last year. This means that we were 3 units or 0.5% higher than the levels we saw in 2024. That 4-week rolling average is 352 units. This week we put 591 single-family houses under agreement. This is 40 units or 7.3% more than the same week last year when we put 551 houses under agreement. And that 4-week rolling average, that's 436 units. So when compared to last year's market, new listings were essentially flat as they were up 0.5%, while under agreements they were up by 7.3%. This pending new listing ratio has come back down to those normal levels. The ratio of 104% is compared to the 111.8% that we saw this week last year. What this means is that over 104% of all the properties that came on the market just 2 weeks ago went under agreement last week. There are 493 single-family houses that closed last week for an average sales price of $823,000 and a median sales price of $650,000. Sales levels compared to this same week last year were up by 11 units or 2.3%, as there were 482 single-family houses that sold this week last year for an average sales price of $753,000. Months of inventory, so we determine what type of market we're in. 0 to 5 months, that's considered a seller's market. The closer you get to 0, the stronger and more aggressive of a seller's market that it is. This week, months of inventory came in at 1.17 months. Now, this 1.17 months is compared to the 1.24 months this week last year, and the gap between this year and last year is 0.07 months. The 2024-2025 market conditions continue to be pretty alike so far, so far being 3 weeks in. Real quick, it's my shameless plug. I just wanted to mention that if you are thinking about buying or selling a house, then you know what to do, because it would be a true pleasure to help you. Now, onto the condo market. We now have 2,077 condos on the market as of Monday. This means that there were 2.4% less inventory on the market today than the inventory levels on the market just 28 days ago. 2.4%, that's pretty close. With a slight inventory growth this week, we now have 305 more units on the market today than today last year. 434 fewer condos on the market when compared to the same time back in 2021. Last week's numbers were 266 units and 497 units, respectively. There were 383 condos that came on the market last week, with that 4-week rolling average of 220 units. The 383 units listed was 59 units, or 18.2% more than the 324 condos that came on the market this same week back in 2024. This week, we put 323 units under agreement. Now, this 323 condo sales is 4 units, or 1.3% more than the 319 condos that we put under agreement this week last year. And that 4-week rolling average is 208 units. So 18.2% more listings came on the market when compared to this week last year, while selling 1.3% more condos. This week's pending new listing ratio in the condo market plummeted to 78%. This is compared to the 100.3% that we saw this same time last year. There are 170 condos that sold this week for an average sales price of $634,000 and a median sales price of $555,000. This same week last year, there were 187 condos that sold for an average sales price of $796,000. So sales levels were down by 9.1%. Months of inventory is 1.83 months this week compared to the 1.78 months that we recorded last week. This week's numbers compared to the 1.81 months of inventory levels that we had this week last year. Now, the year-over-year inventory level spread stayed steady at 0.02 months this week. Any chance you just do me a huge favor? Can you hit that like button right down there? Believe it or not, just plays with that YouTube algorithm. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And while if you're enjoying the content, well then subscribing, that one doesn't hurt either. So I appreciate you considering subscribing. Time to talk about interest rates though. Woo-hoo! We finally got some interest rate relief because it was a painful week. We saw some huge swings from day to day. It'll be interesting to see what will happen with interest rates with the new administration. So far, the first day of trading since the inauguration, we've seen the 10-year Treasury fall. And as we know, mortgage rates, they're tied to the 10-year Treasury. All eyes are going to be on the Fed next week as we have another Fed rate decision. It's not so much what they decide to do, but it's really their talking points that they come out with the next day. And did you see this? It's a retirement ranking for each of the 50 states. Massachusetts came in at number 48 of 50. California and Hawaii were ranked as the only other two states that were worse to retire in. The drawbacks to Massachusetts that they listed were healthcare costs, which they note as being some of the most expensive in the country. But this was a pretty crazy stat. The state population was around 6.9 million, with almost 1 million people in our state being 65 years or older. That's a big number. They also mentioned that our weather and sales tax being around 6.25% are negatives and things that people are looking to retire may want to consider. But what about expensive housing prices? They didn't even mention that. If you want to escape New Hampshire, then you could jump up to spot number 41, 37 for Vermont. If your money was on Florida being number one spot, then you were wrong. They came in at 27. The top three best retirement states were Oklahoma at number 3, West Virginia at number 2, and Arkansas being the top retirement destination in the country. I did my year-end recap. If you haven't seen it, then you should check it out. And I have begun to work on my projections video, so be on the lookout for that one. I'm going to talk about your own personal real estate needs. Again, it's Jeff Chubb. Whether you're looking to buy or sell a house in the next 9 or 90 days, then I would love to chat with you and just find out a little bit more about your real estate goals. And if you know of anyone that's thinking about buying or selling a house, then I'd truly appreciate you passing along my contact information. You can visit me at YouTubeRealEstateAgent.com or find all my contact information in the description below, right down there. Until next time.